The person who thinks he's good is as bad off as the person who thinks he's bad. It's a definition. And the definition is like having on a pair of sunglasses or a pair of glasses that distort the image. It keeps you from seeing what's really there. Well, if you wake up by doing nothing, does that mean you don't have to go to work tomorrow morning? You can just sleep in and do nothing? No. Because, the kingdom of heaven isn't going to go away. The movement of creation isn't going to stop happening. And that is what's confronting you every single moment, giving you the opportunity or the invitation to see what it divinely is. What you have to stop doing is interposing your definition of everything between you and everything. So you're going to have trouble if you don't get up and go to work tomorrow morning. If you don't go to the bathroom when you feel the need. There are things that it will be appropriate to do. But the point is, approach those things with innocent eyes. With the curiosity to see what's there divinely. The curiosity to see the divinity of everything. It's so simple. It's very spiritual, but it's not at all religious. You have described yourself as a spiritual activist, which is sort of like talking about dry water. Because you can't have a spiritual activist. You can only have a spiritual yielder to, a spiritual allower, a spiritual letter. True spirituality is what you experience in someone who's gotten out of the way. And the fact is that it might appear that a lot happens when somebody gets out of the way. But it won't be because they had an agenda, but because the movement of God happens without hindrance when someone stands out of the way. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
I thank you for asking. Hands. In the back in the white t-shirt.
Thank you, Raj. I have 2 questions. The first one involves Sadie. I was just speaking to Wendy about Sadie's passing and realized today it's been 7 months. And over those 7 months, I've felt Sadie's presence quite often, and it's been truly a blessing to feel her presence. But something's kind of changed, as if maybe she's somehow transitioning. I don't feel her presence the same or as often. And I wondered if you could speak to me about that.
She must get on with the business of her life. And, you know, if you need to go to the bathroom and your youngest daughter wants your attention, you go to the bathroom, don't you? Well, when Sadie needs to get on with her life and you would like her attention, she's got to get on with her life. And it's not unkind, it's really practical.
Yeah.
So yes, you can expect it to change and eventually cease.
That's kind of a tough one for me.
Then you're willing to not be very practical. And I encourage you to be practical. You can't possibly hold her back.
No.
But you can make yourself miserable by wanting something you can't have. And if you can't have it, it means it's not appropriate for you to have it. There's order in it. She doesn't belong to you. I mean that she's not a possession, but she's forever inseparable from you. And as I said earlier, I'll say to you, if you insist on seeing it as something hard, you will complain and you will turn into a crotchety old woman.
That's not going to happen. I know that.
I know it too. And so I'm not worried. But by the same token, I am not going to encourage your insanity. As warm-hearted and full of mother love as it is, I'm not going to encourage you to indulge in something that you can't have. Reminding you that you can't have it because it's not yours to have. It's in order for you not to have it. I know you well enough to know that you don't like what I'm saying, but you can take it.
You're right.
And I am addressing the strength and the character that you do have, which you would rather not take a look at the moment, because your sadness seems more valuable. But your innate sanity will reassert itself. In the meantime, if you're feeling sad, feel it fully. If you squelch it, you're going to be squelching your love. That will hurt. But you're not going to discover the love of the love that's in you. If you don't let what it appears to be to abide with you, it looks like grief. Well, feel the grief. Because it's only in feeling the grief that you can finally discover that the grief is the love that you think has been blocked from being received. And when you find out that the grief is a mask for your capacity to love, you'll feel a relief. And you'll be so glad just to let the love flow and embrace her without requiring or believing that you have a right to know she received it. Grief is simply misperceived love. Yours. If you let yourself feel it, if you really let yourself feel it without judging yourself, that which is masking the love will dissolve, and you'll just feel the love, and you'll rejoice at how much you love her, and the fact that loving her, your capacity to love her, hasn't been lost. In spite of the fact that the circumstances seem to say that your capacity to love her has been taken away from you. Now, I can tell you this, and I know you can't hear it fully at the moment, but I tell you this because you will remember, as you're willing, you will remember what I've said. And I'm standing on the side of your sanity with you, you see? It isn't easy, but I want you to remember that your capacity to love has not been taken away. And that's where the pain comes in, is the belief, the irrational idea that your capacity to love her has been taken away from you. Just sleep with what I've said, or wake up with what I've said. Be with it.
A little hard to ask the next question. It's so different. I've decided to not be partners with my gardening partner next season. And we have a greenhouse in common, 30 by 100 feet, that sits on our land. Fred's and mine. And Nancy, my gardening partner, and I really don't know how to resolve what to do about the 30 by 100 foot greenhouse. Can you say anything to that?
Well, the two of you are going to have to listen for the answer. the only thing that it's appropriate for me to say to you is, remember that you're friends. Friends can listen for the answer that doesn't shortchange anyone. Friends can become or experience creativity around an answer. They can allow for that which they never would have thought of before. So, remember that you're friends and tell her that that's where you're coming from, because you are friends and there is an answer and you want to find the answer with her within this friendship.
Good. Thank you.
You are welcome. We will take a short break. Okay. Hands. In the back, standing.
I had the experience of being in feeling one time, and
The experience of what?
of being in feeling with my feelings, and I let myself just be with the feeling. And what happened is that what came to my the experience that I had is that, to put it in words, the words that actually came to my mind, was that your love is all there is, your love is all the creation. And I just knew that. I felt that with all my mind and all my heart and all my being. And it was something that I just sang. So that was that experience. And even sometimes I'll remember that experience and I won't be in it all the time. But anyway, about 2 weeks ago, I was walking down the street and I saw someone who was handicapped. They were walking on like metal arm bracelets, like someone who was in polio. And what came to my mind was the phrase, "There but for fortune go you or I," which has been sung by Phil Oakes and Joan Baez. And I thought, I don't want to believe that. Something was like, I just said, after having the experience of your love is all there is and your love is all the creation, it just didn't seem right to say, "There but for fortune, there but for fortune go you or I." I didn't want to. There's something about that. I'm trying to understand what that is. I know it's not right. So that's my question.
You gave the answer. You said, "I know that's not right." You said it as though you meant, "I think it must not be right." But you do know that it's not right. Trust that simple awareness and don't ever do it again. Now, what was your opportunity when you saw that individual? To recognize that he is in your experience, to have his divinity recognized, acknowledged. It was the opportunity to say, what is the truth here? What is the truth here? And let that fill your thought. That would have been a blessing. That will be a blessing whenever you do it in the future. if nothing else, you could say immediately, that's not the truth about him. That's not the truth about her. That's right, it's not true about you either, but don't fuss about it.
I prefaced that what I had, seen 2 weeks ago by saying, that I had the experience of your love is all there is, and your love is all the creation, and that's the truth. And to be able to make that connection from the experience I had of that, which happened like a year ago, to that moment when I saw that person, to be able to to be able to say that that's the truth. That's the truth, and that person is part of that truth. What I'm seeing here is not...
Yes. Now, to make that connection on the spot is as excellent as saying, this is not the truth about them. But in either case, you are drawing upon memory. You're remembering to say this, or remembering to connect that with this, you see. Whereas, the opportunity for healing comes when you say, what is the truth here? Because when you say, what is the truth here, you have abandoned making a statement, this is not true about them. And you have abandoned an intent to connect a prior realization with them, and you've created a void, an emptiness that can be filled with a current experience of love like the one you had before. You see what I'm saying? It is helpful sometimes to make spontaneous, rehearsed statements or remembered statements like, that's not the truth about them. Because in making a statement that is pre-planned, you might say, of that sort, it stops your mind from saying, oh, there but for the grace of God go I, you see? It stops your mind from going in other unproductive and in darkening directions. So, it's excellent to make the connection or to make a statement, but then follow it with, just in the few moments you might have before you're going on to the next thing, to say, what is the truth here? With an expectation of an influx of realization, like you are really expecting an answer. What is the truth here? You see? And then shut up and listen. You may not be able to sit down and spend an hour waiting for the influx to occur, but having asked the question, having made the space for the answer, you can then continue to take care of what needs to be taken care of while the answer comes. You can still expect to have an answer. So, invite the experience of the truth. Don't invite the old experience of love again. You want the fresh, current experience of the love that you are embraced with by God, because that experience will embrace the individual you saw, and it will be felt. because there will be one less person seeing a definition, an infirm or incapacitated man. And one with God is a majority. Also, you can dare to trust simple little things that occur to you, like, I know that can't be true. Truth is always simple. The realization of truth is always simple. Everyone looks for profound experiences of the revelation of truth. But it comes sometimes in a few words. I know that can't be true. And if you let that meaning register with you, you would experience freedom from any inclination in the future to categorize somebody or categorize yourself. You see, there, but for the grace of God, go I. Phew, thank God. I'm not like him. And you're as lost as he is when you think that. So, it's like sometimes you get a feeling, you say, I can't do it. Whatever it might be. And it's a statement of the problem. I have a real problem. I can't do this. Well, it's the truth. It's the answer. If you realized, oh, I can't do this. What a relief. You see what I'm saying? Realization of truth is always simple. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hands. At the table here. Where is the microphone? This is the last question, so make it a good one.
Then I'll have to give it up. I'm not sure exactly how to approach this. It's a parts question. As you know, I've called up an interesting set of circumstances to learn from in my life.
Are you sure you're the one responsible for them?
Certainly for vexing myself over them. That's a good question. Let me start again. There is an interesting sort of set of circumstances in my life.
Before you continue further, are they unique?
I see them as unique.
I want you to be aware that you see them as unique, even though everyone else suffers from the same thing. Now, I would be interested in, or at least everyone else would be interested in hearing your question.